and welcome. If you watched my video about making a vacuum pump assembly, at the end I mentioned that I was going to videotape making a vacuum hold down so that I could use that on my ShopBot CNC machine. So I experimented a little bit with the vacuum hold down using some particle board and found that that doesn't work. It's just way too porous. All the air just leaks right through the particle board. So I went ahead and went online to joewoodworker.com again, and turns out he offers all the parts you need to make some vacuum hold downs, and so I went ahead and purchased that. He also gives you the instructions for how to do it. So I got a piece that I can make several hold downs from. I got the gasket tape that you put on here to seal the work. A foot valve for turning the vacuum on and off, and also for bleeding off the vacuum, so you can easily disconnect take your work off of your hold down. Little filter that goes on this assembly, and all the fittings you need and all the hose you need. So we're going to go ahead and put this together just like Joe says and see how it works. First thing is to go ahead and put two wraps of Teflon sealing tape on all the threaded parts. So this foot operated valve has 3 ports on the back with little rubber plugs in them. One of the ports doesn't get used, and so it gets plugged up with just a straight brass plug. So I'll go ahead and pull that out and go ahead and take this brass plug and screw it on in. The next thing is this port A. This is the port that the air coming from the vacuum clamp goes into. So we take an elbow, screw that on in. We'll get that pointing straight at the port we just plugged. And then I'll take this little 2-inch piece of brass tubing, screw that in. At this point it doesn't have to be super tight. I'll show you why. Then we take the filter, make sure the flow arrow is pointing towards the foot valve, because this is the filter that's filtering the air that's coming straight off of the vacuum hold down. I got to take the filter housing off here first so it'll all fit. Check my arrow again. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to get the filter housing so it's pointing straight across towards the front of the foot valve, just so the filter be out of the way. That's why I didn't tighten up the little tube too much. Give me a little wiggle room here. Alright. Let's go ahead and put this filter housing back on so we don't get any junk inside there. Okay, and then we take a little elbow here and attach it to the filter housing, and this is the elbow that our tubing that goes to the vacuum hold down is going to fit on, so make sure I don't cross thread this. And when we're done, we want this barbed fitting to be pointing straight up. There we go. So that's where we're going to attach this blue hose that I showed you that goes to the hold down. Okay, so we're halfway there. Now we got to do the side that goes to the vacuum pump. So I'm going to pull out this little plug out of port P, and we've got a long street elbow with a fitting, and this fitting is one that I can clamp the hose coming from the vacuum pump. Has a little clamp on it that fits like on a tire valve, like a Schrader valve for your tire. That's the size. So this fitting has that same size here, so I can clamp that onto that. So let's go ahead and just screw that in now. And then we'll go ahead and screw that into the port P. Again, when we're done, we want this pointing straight up so we can attach our hose real easy. And then I'll give one last check to make sure it looks like the picture, and it does. Okay, so air from the hold down comes in here through the filter into the valve, being sucked from my vacuum pump that attaches here. Okay, so let's go ahead and give it a test. I've got the vacuum pump here. It's got about 23.5 inches of vacuum. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the valve on. It works. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my thumb on there as though we had this hooked up to the, to the vacuum clamp. And then see if releasing the pressure also shuts off the vacuum so we don't lose anything. Works just like advertised. The plastic works a lot like wood, except it's plastic. I don't want to get it all mixed up in my dust collection system. So I've made up a special piece of window screen here that goes into my dust collector to catch all this stuff. I'm going to use my Shopsmith 10ER in the horizontal boring position and bore a hole about a ½ inch or so deep into the edge of the HDPE using a bit that I can then tap for the fitting that's going to go into there. Following this hole, I'll go ahead and drill a 1/8 inch hole to go somewhere near the center, and then we'll drill a hole straight on down to match that. And then that will be the port for the vacuum to be drawn from. Okay, so the fitting is in place. We'll just do a little air check, and we'll go ahead and put the finger on the hole here and turn on the valve. Let's check the gauge, make sure we're holding pressure, and we are. Okay, so we know the fitting and so forth is good. Okay, so this gasket tape is sticky on one side. The other side's got a protective layer that covers the actual sealing surface, which is not sticky. Let's just go ahead and see how well it seals. Okay, and I have a test board here. I've sanded the surface smooth. Turn on the vacuum. And there we are. We're holding vacuum. Okay, I've got the hold down screwed down to the spoiler board. I've got a piece of cherry here that I intended to use as a display piece, so we're going to do a little bit V-carve lettering. So let's go ahead and turn on the vacuum and see if the hold down will hold this for actual carving. Okay, pressure's on, it's holding. Now let's go ahead and carve. Okay, so I just kicked off the foot valve and we ought to be able to lift off. There we go. I've just saved a whole lot of time and material because normally I'd have to have wood on each side to screw down. If I was making a production run of these, I'd just put the next piece on and go to town.